What's up, Yins guys? Welcome back to Fishing PA with Ryan Reed. In this episode, I'm going to continue on with my lake breakdown series, and we're going to talk about the Raystown Lake. Now, Raystown Lake is actually found in Huntingdon County in Pennsylvania, and the fun fact is Raystown is actually the largest lake within the state of Pennsylvania only. So when I talk about Pymatuning and you talk about some of these other reservoirs and lakes, they actually split between states. So Raystown is the biggest within the state of PA. Now, the current Raystown Lake is 8,300 square acres, and it has a max depth of 183 feet. Now, Raystown is operated by the Army Corps of Engineers. Now, the primary functionality for Raystown is for flood control. However, the Army Corps of Engineers actually uses Raystown for hydropower as well. And actually, the Army Corps of Engineers maintains all of the facilities, the campgrounds, the trails, and the hunting and fishing areas. However, PA Boat and Fish is still responsible for enforcing all boating and fishing regulations within Raystown. So please keep that in mind. You guys want to go out and check the regulations for Raystown Lake before you guys go out there and fish it. Now, Raystown Lake is actually an impoundment of the Raystown section of the Juanita River. And Raystown actually has three main tributaries that run into that body of water, which makes up essentially the Juanita River into Raystown Lake. Now, the water at Raystown, it's moderately fertile. And due to the amount of runoff that occurs every year, especially in spring and summer, the water is really murky in my opinion. Also, Raystown Lake does have a thermocline, and that usually occurs between June and September, anywhere from 25 feet of water to 50 feet of water. Now, the bottom at Raystown Lake. Simply put, it's mostly gravel and cobblestone. Now, there are a few areas of the lake that actually have mud flats, and those are really good sections of the lake. However, throughout the entire lake and river system, the primary structure on the bottom is going to be submerged timber. You're going to see a lot of man-made structure in there, but there's a lot of gravel and there's a lot of cobblestone throughout the entire body of water. Now, Raystown also has some good natural structure or cover, and a lot of that is going to be weed structure. Now, the southern end of the lake, the Raystown branch of the Juanita River into Raystown, that section of the lake is going to have a lot of good weed growth. And we're mostly talking about milfoil, and we're mostly talking about that curly leaf pondweed. In addition to that, some of those deep weed edges, you guys are going to find weed edges anywhere from 1 to 18 feet of water throughout the entire body of the river and the lake. Now, as I mentioned before, one of the biggest structure points in Raystown is that flooded timber. And oh my, there is a tremendous amount of flooded timber throughout the entire body of water. When I was doing this breakdown and I was researching the lake and I'm pulling from different resources, fish and boat and old maps and places all over the internet, I just could not believe how much flooded timber and wood structure there is throughout Raystown Lake. It is crazy to me that there is that much flooded timber in there. So in addition to that flooded timber, you guys are going to see, again, a lot of man-made structure. There's going to be porcupine cribs. You guys are going to see vertical planks. You're going to see black bass nesting areas. You're going to see rock and rubble humps. You're going to see stone deflectors. There's a tremendous amount of man-made structure in there that PA Fish and Boat has placed in the lake to enhance the fishery, to give those fish a safe haven, somewhere to go to hide and just kind of chill out. But those structure points, they attract fish, and you as a fisherman has to know where those particular areas are and where those structure points are to give you yet another fighting chance on Raystown Lake. All right, so what are the featured species of Raystown Lake? Anybody that brings up Raystown, in my mind, I immediately go straight to stripers. Stripers, in my opinion, are the primary targeted fish at Raystown. And actually, Raystown is one of the best fisheries, not only in the state of Pennsylvania, but in the entire country. Raystown produces a lot of state record type stripers. There's a lot of good largemouth and smallmouth bass in there. In addition to that, there's a very healthy population of black and white crappie. And judging by the amount of timber in there, I would not be surprised if you guys had epic days out there fishing for those crappies, especially in the spring. Now, other species in the lake. We have lake trout, we have walleye, we have muskie and tiger muskie. We have brown trout, or in western PA affectionately known as brown trout. Rock bass, bluegill, yellow perch, channel catfish, and the brown bullhead. Okay, so the primary forage at Raystown is actually gizzard shad. There is a tremendous amount of gizzard shad up and down Raystown Lake. Also, there is alewife, you have rainbow smelt, and of course, juvenile panfish. So there's juvenile crappies, juvenile perch, juvenile bluegills. They all serve as primary forage for some of those game fish, like your stripers, like your bass, like the muskie and the walleye in Raystown Lake. All right, guys, so hopefully I was able to give you some good information, at least a good starting point on Raystown Lake. What I'd like to do now is jump into my markup of the map, show you guys what I've learned over the last couple of weeks putting this together, show you some structure points, some areas to fish, and then we'll talk about some species-specific tactics at the end of that lake breakdown when I look at the map here. So let's go ahead and jump over to the map real quick. All right, boys and girls, let's go ahead and take a look at Raystown Lake, and we're going to go over my markup and the breakdown of the lake. Now, this is by far the largest lake breakdown I've ever done. I have hundreds of points. We have tons to discuss and get into. I'm going to try to keep this high level, and we are going to move quickly. Disclaimer, some of these points are not accurate when it comes to latitude and longitude. However, these are meant as reference points for you guys to go out there on the water, locate these areas, and fish them for yourselves. Now, as we start here, we're going to start on the south end of the map, what I'm considering the south end with the Raystown branch. Now, looking at the map here, again, we're going to keep this high level. You guys are going to see the Raystown Branch River or part of the Juanita River, and this is a no-wake zone. So through this area, we're going to come up to Weaver Bridge. Now, again, the no-wake zone, as we come around this corner, immediately you guys are going to see submerged weeds. Now, along this shoreline, right to the right of Weaver Falls Boat Launch, this is a great place to start fishing. Anytime you guys locate submerged weeds on Raystown Lake, spend the time and work those weed edges. Now, as we work our way around the river here, you're going to see porcupine cribs. Thank you to PA Fish and Boat for enhancing the fishery by placing these artificial structure points, not only as a safe haven for the fish, but as fish attractors for you as fishermen. Now, as we work our way around, we're going to notice a lot of flooded timber. And the other disclaimer here is Raystown has a tremendous amount of flooded timber. As we get north of the lake, you guys are going to notice a lot of flooded timber. So as we work our way around here, notice the flooded timber on the upper end here of the river and another submerged weed bed with some porcupine cribs. Now, there's also a black bass nesting area in about 25 feet of water here. Flooded timber, and then it becomes the Juanita River. You have flooded timber as we work all the way around, and you have another good weed bed right here at this point of the river. As we work north here, 25 feet of water, submerged weeds, flooded timber, and porcupine and plank structure points. We have flooded timber all the way around the river here, and then we hit another submerged weed bed. Again, work those structure points. 25 feet of water, flooded timber up. We're going to come here, and we're going to really hit one of the first coves that I've identified here. You have a really good submerged weed bed outside of this and through this cove. But in the springtime, this is a good bass and panfish hotspot. And then there's also some porcupine cribs there. As we continue to work, flooded timber, lots of flooded timber. We come around this point here, and you guys are going to notice a very heavy submerged weed bed. Now, this is really one of the hot spots on this lake and river system to me, because there are a lot of submerged weeds. You have 25 feet of water. You have some rock rubble humps that were dropped in there, structure points, and the flooded timber on the outside of the river here. Now, as we work our way around, flooded timber again all the way around, fish these points. Raystown has a tremendous amount of lake points, and they all produce fish. Submerged weeds all along this side of the river, flooded timber on the north side. As we continue to work our way around, we have another really solid lake point, flooded timber all the way around, and again, submerged weeds.
We're going to hit our third and final tremendous point here. And again, 25 feet of water, tons and tons of flooded timber. Now, as we work our way around, notice this cove. You have submerged timber here all along Roth Rock Marina. Now, 25 feet of water is going to go into 45 feet, as we can see here. But on this side of the river system towards the lake, you have porcupine cribs, you have submerged weeds, and back into this cove, you have another bass hotspot in here. 25 feet of water all the way back to Shy Beaver Boat Launch and rock rubble humps at the end. So Shy Beaver Run is really a solid opportunity for you guys to fish. Now, as we move north, again, porcupine cribs, submerged weeds. Again, anytime you guys find weeds, spend the time to fish them. They are going to produce fish on those edges. 45 feet of water, again, flooded timber. As we continue to work here, we have a black bass nesting area. We have submerged weeds along with it. And we're going to start seeing some vertical planks here. Now, you guys are going to notice the 994 bridge. Again, excellent place to do some shore fishing as well. You have Tapman Run to the right and Tapman Run Launch. Flooded timber throughout, and we start hitting about 45 feet of water. Now, flooded timber in the middle of the river system, and we're going to start getting into Raystown Lake. Now, the other thing I want to point out here, I do not have a channel here. The reason for that is I'm not 100% sure where the channel goes. I don't want to give you guys incorrect information, but I do know the channel is 105 feet deep, and you guys are going to see anywhere from 25 to 85 feet of water around that channel. Now, as we get to the dam, it's obviously going to get deeper. So this blue line here is going to start Raystown Lake. And in addition to that, we're going to work a little bit north up into Coffee Run. A lot of good flooded timber. You got vertical planks. You got porcupine cribs all the way up to Coffee Run. Anytime you guys have an inlet or an outlet, it's a good spot to start fishing. As we work around, notice tons and tons of brush piles. Again, courtesy of PA Fish and Boat. They are enhancing the fishery by putting these structure points in the system. So we have a good point here. We have those brush piles. We're going to go from 45 to 65 feet of water. You got good flooded timber all along the shorelines at Raystown and your brush piles. Again, submerged weed vegetation. When you guys find these points, fish them. Flooded timber all the way around the system here, 45 to 65 feet of water, and we're eventually going to hit some porcupine cribs. Flooded timber, lots of flooded timber as we continue to work north. Now we got 25 to 45 to 65 to 85 feet of water. You guys are going to see that as a standard at Raystown. There's just a tremendous amount of water. It's deep and it fluctuates. Now the most shallow point that I have found through my research is 5 feet. Along the shoreline, you're going to go 5 to 10 to probably 25, and then anywhere from 25 to 45 to 65 to 85 feet of water. And the other thing to mention here is note that the right side of the lake seems to be a lot deeper. You know, that channel is going to run anywhere from 85 to 105 feet of water. So as we continue to work here, black bass nesting areas, and you got a tremendous amount of flooded timber. And as you guys see more and more of these points, you're going to notice that it's more of a timber field. So as we continue to work, we're going to just kind of cover this section really quick. We have submerged bridge at the very top of this point. You guys can locate that submerged bridge. You're going to locate fish. As we work around, porcupine cribs, flooded timber, all good structure points, which eventually is going to lead down to Great Trough Creek. Now the creek's going to run in here, and we're going to continue to work north. So notice the flooded timber all along here. You're going to see the black bass nesting areas on both sides of this cove. You're going to notice Pee Wee Island, and also a tremendous amount of flooded timber throughout here. Brush piles, porcupine cribs, black bass nesting structures into James Creek and James Creek Launch. Very fabulous place to launch on Raystown Lake. As we work north here, submerged weeds in this cove. Now you're going to find the Aitch Launch. Now in this particular cove, I would spend a lot of my time fishing on Raystown in this particular cove because of those submerged weeds, because of those porcupine cribs and those brush piles. It's just naturally good structure, and the water depth is going to fluctuate. My guess is about 25 feet in that area. So as we continue to work here, flooded timber all throughout Pee Wee. We're going to go north here, flooded timber, black bass nesting areas, brush piles, submerged weeds. James Creek. James Creek, again, this is one of my favorite areas to fish on Raystown, and this is probably one of the better areas to fish on Raystown Lake as well because of these structure points. Now, as we work down, we're going to get into the main lake here. Let me work back up. So we got flooded timber all along the river and the lake on both sides, and you're also going to see again that 5 to 25 to 85 to 105 feet of water fluctuation depending upon where you're at on the water. Okay, as we continue to work, notice the submerged weeds, notice the flooded timber all the way around this body of water. Now, porcupine cribs on this particular point right here, there is a tremendous amount of porcupine cribs. So you want to focus your attention on these lake points and these cribs and also this flooded timber. As we continue into Raystown Lake, flooded timber all along this particular area. And this is Beer Barrel Bay. Beer Barrel Bay is actually an excellent area to fish. You're going to have 25 to 45 to 65 to 85 to 105 feet of water. Lots of flooded timber all the way around. You have planks, you have cribs. You have actually a field of planks and cribs in this particular area, and you have some more porcupine cribs in about 25 feet of water on the north end of this particular cove. So focus on Beer Barrel Bay, and you guys will produce fish there. Now, as we continue to work, again, flooded timber, porcupine cribs in the middle, flooded timber along the edges, and really throughout the middle of the body of water. We're going to eventually hit 7 Points Marina here. Now, you got a boat launch, you have the marina, and you got vertical planks in this particular cove. So, as we work right here, vertical planks, stone deflectors, flooded timber. We have Snydertown. We have stone deflectors off of Marty's Island. We have flooded timber all the way around Marty's Island. And we have flooded timber all the way around the edge and the shoreline of this particular area around Marty's Island. So as we continue to work here, again, flooded timber, porcupine cribs, and we have 105 to 85 to 65 to 45 to 25 feet of water. Flooded timber attracts fish. I don't mean to keep beating a dead horse here, but there is just so much flooded timber in Raystown Lake. Again, 25 to 45 to 60 feet of water, lots and lots of flooded timber. In this particular cove right here, you have a lot of good brush piles that were implemented. 25 feet of water to the back of here. I'm sure there's some good weeds in there as well. As we continue to work, flooded timber, porcupine cribs in this particular area, and I believe this is Huntingdon. So around this particular area, you guys want to focus. And right to the left here, you're also going to notice Old Raystown Dam. Again, structure points for you guys to fish. 45 to 125 to 145 feet of water. We are starting to get into it. It is starting to get rather deep. Now, as we work here, we have Hans Bridge. Hans Bridge is also another structure point that's buried in the lake. And into this particular area, we have a lot of good flooded timber. We have cribs and nesting structures for black bass, all throughout this upper end in the Snyder's Run. Now, as we work here, Snyder's Run launch north, 85 feet of water, 125 feet towards the mouth. We have another really good island here with flooded timber, cribs and nesting structures, and eventually you guys are going to get into Hans Run in the back end of this. So really good areas to fish. You have Moonbeam Island here, and you also have around Huntingdon a lot of flooded timber. So this is going to work us all the way around here, and we're going to eventually again hit 85 to 105 to 125 to 145 to 165 feet of water with a tremendous amount of flooded timber. Now, this brings us to Raystown Dam, and eventually again the Juanita River that wraps all the way around here. So looking at Raystown Lake, I know I covered this very quickly. However, I don't want to just spend a tremendous amount of time talking about specific areas, that you guys are going to be able to go out there and find these structure points. This is high level stuff that we're talking about here. So hopefully you guys find this information beneficial. There's just a tremendous amount of opportunities to catch bass and crappie and muskie and pretty much anything else that lives in Raystown Lake just by going off of these structure points. Make sure you guys take a look at some of these runs. If you can, if it's legal, take a look at fishing some of the marinas or just outside of the marinas. Focus on your weed edges and the weed fields that you guys find. Submerged weeds are key. Porcupine cribs, vertical planks, man-made structure points produce fish. So bottom line here, guys, take a look. Hopefully you can translate this into catching some fish. But before you guys go out there, make sure you check the laws. I did not do that for this particular video. Just strapped for time. I wanted to get out some content to you guys that would be beneficial as we get into fishing season. So at this point, what I'd like to do is I'd like to take a look at some species-specific information that will hopefully help you guys locate specific species of fish here on Raystown Lake. All right, guys, we're going to focus on just a few species of fish that live in Raystown Lake. We're going to talk about striped bass, large and smallmouth bass, lake trout, and crappie. Now, Raystown stripers. In the spring, stripers can be found in about 15 to 20 feet of water off of main lake points, specifically when the water temps hit the mid-40s. Now, that's going to last you through spring until you get into May. When you get into May, stripers follow the shad from deep water structure points to about 5 to 15 feet of water at night. Now, you guys can find stripers from dusk into early morning hours chasing shad. My best point for you guys to look for is look for any type of water disturbance, specifically at the top of the water column, because those fish are going to be chasing shad. Troll or cast into those areas, and I promise you, you will come in contact with a striper. Now, from June to September, remember, there is a thermocline. Stripers look for water temps around 60 to 70 degrees. So you guys need to find water depths of about 30 feet or deeper. Those fish are going to suspend between 25 and 50 feet of water in that thermocline, but in particular, that 30-foot range. So make sure you guys are focusing on working baits, trolling baits that will get down 30 feet of water so you guys can come in contact with those fish. Now, in October and November, those fish move back shallow into 10 to 20 feet of water. So I would focus my effort in 15 to 20 feet of water from Trough Creek to the dam in the spring, and I would also focus my attention on night fishing shallow shorelines in the month of May for stripers. I would also focus on shad baits and really troll those babies in the thermocline from June through September. And then I would probably get back to casting jigs using live bait on weed edges in October and November, or again go back to trolling your shad baits shallow. Now, for largemouth bass at Raystown, in mid-March, on to May or June-ish, I would say 40 to 50 degree water temps. Largemouth like that dingy water, and they like the north end of the lake. I would focus on timber structure and rock walls. Now, mid-April, the bass are in coves spawning, so you guys can come in contact with largemouth spawning from April to May. Now, in June, those fish are in summer patterns. You guys are going to have to find weed flats adjacent to main lake points. During midday hours, look for that 10 to 15 feet of water range and focus your attention on casting or trolling weed edges. Now, in the fall, again, the fish move off of those deep water drop-offs, and they really focus on that deep water looking for 50 to 60 degree water temps. This is your opportunity to do some vertical jigging to come in contact with those largemouth at Raystown. Now, Raystown smallmouth, I would focus on Aitch and James Creek areas in the spring. Those fish are going to be spawning. They're going to be on those flats. Take a look at those areas to locate those fish. In summer, you guys are going to have to focus your attention in deep water timber, man-made structure, and again, those weed lines. You guys locate those weeds I showed you on the map, and you will find those fish. However, I usually focus early morning or late at night. Look for those fish in shallow areas, 4 to 10 feet of water, and you guys will locate them. Standing timber is always a great starting point. When you guys locate standing timber on your electronics or you guys can see it from shore, you know that those fish are going to suspend in those areas. And again, if you guys can get out there and do some night fishing, it's going to get you away from the pleasure boaters. Now, lake trout at Raystown. This is an interesting one because there are a lot of big lake trout in Raystown. In spring, I would probably troll those mid-lake flats, look for 15 to 25 feet of water. In the summer, you're going to look for that thermocline. Remember, lake trout need cold water to survive. You guys are going to locate those fish anywhere in 45 to 50 degree water temps. So you're going to have to get your baits down in the water column in order to contact them. The dam area is a great place for you to start Deeper, cooler water is what you guys are looking for. And remember, downriggers are your best friend when you're fishing lake trout at Raystown. All right, guys, lastly, I want to talk about crappie. In April and May, you guys are going to focus on that wood timber structure along shorelines. Focus on creek arms throughout the lake in spring. Those crappies love that shallow water, they love that wood structure, and they love creek arms. Now remember, in summertime, those fish move to deeper structure points. When the water gets warm, they don't like it. They move off deeper. You guys can still catch them in summer, but you got to find that deep water structure, and I would probably go back to vertical jigging with live bait in order to catch them. Now in fall, those fish are going to move back shallow, and they're really going to focus again on that timber structure and creek arms. So when you guys get into spring and into fall, that's the time where you focus on that wood structure and that timber to locate those crappies.
Man, is it beautiful outside. I'm just on the back porch, just kind of enjoying the nice weather. Still a little bit chilly, but we are getting there. Well, guys, hopefully I was able to provide you with some good, solid information that will be beneficial for you when you guys are out there fishing Raystown Lake. My goal with these videos is to give you as much info as possible that will translate into you guys coming in contact with more fish. I have to say, these lake breakdowns are a huge effort. It takes countless hours to research, pulling information from multiple sources, whether that's Fish and Boat or just old maps or just information on the internet, and trying to compile it all in one place. So hopefully you guys find this information beneficial, and hopefully it puts you guys on some fish. I'm really looking forward to getting out to some of these lakes this year that I've been breaking down so I can put this information to use as well. So with that said, if you guys like this video, go ahead and hit that like button for me. If you guys like the content overall, please subscribe to my channel. I greatly appreciate it. Alright guys, well it's getting time. I'm going to probably grab the rods and head out for a couple hours. We'll see what happens. So for those of you that are getting out and just already crushing fish, awesome stuff. I'm loving all the stuff I'm seeing on Facebook and Instagram. Just so cool to be a part of the fishing community in general. So with that said, I wish you guys tight lines, and we will see you next time.